Welcome back to our channel. Today we will be continuing what we have started in the previous video, where we spoke about how we were able to decode the puzzle of how the whole plot of 9/11 came about earlier to 9/11 and the later events that happened with the opening of the One World Trade Center. But this time we will complete this whole puzzle to know from where this whole plot started and where we are heading with this plot in the near future. So we will be exposing their plot in the future, and I hope we can change course with this information that I'm about to provide. In the previous video, I showed many evidence that 9/11 was already pre-planned to make a sacrifice for someone's soul to resurrect into the heavens to become a god. I didn't give the answer of whom this person he is, because I didn't had the full decoding. But now that I have it, I can tell you with 100% certainty it will be the antichrist, which they were preparing for. In the previous video, I spoke about how we can get from the date of the opening of the Twin Towers, that you can sum and get 28, and from 28 plus 1973 you get 2001. That is the date of which the demolition happened, and the same method, when we apply it, we sum the digits of this date, you get 14, which if you add 2001, it will give you 2015, the final opening of the One World Trade Center, the observatory in the top of it. And we showed that actually from the date of the final opening you get 23, which is also the sum of the year 1973 and 2001, where we reach with 2015. So you have a chain of events that's already pre-planned, and we provide many other evidence that I will be presenting later on. But if you want the full explanation, you have to go back to the previous video. But stick with us, and I think it will be clear to you whether you go to that video or not. Now, in that video, I gave you this portion of the puzzle, but now I will give you the full puzzle. But before I would do so, I want you to read with me what is written in this script from a video where Netanyahu went to take a blessing from his rabbi for his political career, and he asked him, the rabbi is saying, what hasn't changed, however, is that Moshe still hasn't come. Some people, they're waiting for the Jesus. Let's see who is Jesus they're referring to. And then he continued to say, so do something to hasten, focus on this word, hasten his coming. Of course, Netanyahu said, we are doing. Now, the question is that who these people are in the equation of this universe to be given this honor or the dishonor to actually hasten someone's coming. If they are referring to Jesus, I mean, in the perspective of the Christians, he is God, okay? So Jesus, and also for the Muslims, he is a prophet, and in both cases, it's God who will decide when to send Jesus. So who they are to say, to command each other to hasten his coming, what they are. I mean, Jesus is supposed to come to undo the evilness in this world. So if someone wants to hasten his coming, he probably should start killing randomly, right? And sacrifice people, 9/11. No? Yeah, I guess it's a good idea. That's the way you hasten coming of the Jesus. But do they really mean that? Or do they mean something else? I think in the logical sense of, rationalizing thing, hastening in this sense, it doesn't mean actually trying to bring Jesus, by start killing everybody, because that's exactly what Jesus doesn't want them to do, right? So what's the other explanation I'm going to give you? They will bring the first coming. For Christians and the Muslims, they know very well that the first coming is the Antichrist. The second coming is the true Jesus. So what they are hastening in here is actually the helping resurrect the soul of antichrist to become later as a god, so they would introduce us to him as a god. That's what they are partaking in. That's what they are hastening in. And now I will prove with numbers, with much evidence, that that's the plot, and that's why 9/11 was happened. Because in the ancient Egyptian, and the same with our time, for the Pharaoh back in time, and for the Antichrist, for his soul to resurrect and to become a god, they usually ask for a sacrifice. And that's how they were hastening. Now let's move to the other part of this video to give you the full explanation. Now in my previous video, I already spoke, please focus on the dates 28, 14, 23, that we spoke about how the sequence of the events happened from 1973, 2001, 2015. We were able to prove that we using these numbers that you can actually track what really has happened, and not only that, but also from these numbers we can also get to the design that upon which the One World Trade Center was actually based upon. Because the One World Trade Center, it has 94 actual floors, 104 tall height One World Trade Center building, but still on the 94th floor they write 104. That's because basically, as I explained in my previous video, that is the box here in the other dimension which we don't see, just one step before what? Before the soul of that Antichrist would become a god. That's 14 years later, 2015, and then 23 years later, plus 23, he will become a god. And that's what we are heading towards, people. That's when they want to introduce for us Antichrist as a god. That's what they were hastening. Now, in my previous video, without going too much in detail, I said that there's two ways of looking at how they were depicting the rise of the soul of the Antichrist. First, by summing the Sephiroth as you go from earth up to the level where you meet with God. So you add 19 plus 21 plus 26 plus 24, you will get 90. Now 90 has a big significance, and I will tell you what is it. But we said that, for example, here from 90, when you add plus 14, that's the date from, we get the number of years we get from the date of 2001, 9/11. That's 15 years later, the One World Trade Center was erected in his honor. We get the 104, the height of the One World Trade Center, and also the same method from 66 plus 28, the 28 from, we get it from the opening of the Twin Tower, after which 28 years later the demolition has happened. That's when his soul resurrected in our the part of the world, our universe. We said that there is a correlation and when using the other method of when you want to raise as God. So instead of 19, you have to become 42, because 42 is what? Is the generative force, what they call it, the Kabbalist, of what? Of God. That's so basically, to reach to God, you have to open like kind of a highway in these orange circles, where every Sephiroth has to become what? 42. And so in the previous video, again, we said that you have, if you change these circles into 42, and you sum the box around them, like the one in the green and in the red, you would get the same number as in its counterpart from the other method, 94, 94, 104, 104. So if we want to do the same method to see from where this all has started, from where it's all originated. So let's do the same thing for the other Sephiroths, for the other circles, the one which is labeled 19 and 21. So for 21 to become 42, it needed what? also 21, right? So this is on the right side where I'm talking. Now from the left side, if you have 21, okay, you have 21 plus 19, you have 40. Now to make 40 equal to 42, what you need? You need 2. That's why you see in this part 2. And if you want to make 19 42, what you need? You need 23. And so just look at the table in here. As we remember, 94, 94, 104, 104. That's in the top of the picture, as you see. Now, if we wanted to do the same thing, as we mentioned earlier, 40 need 2, and 19 need how much? 23 to become equal to what? 42, to make a path towards God, right? So what's the significance of 2 and 23? Remember 28, 14, 23? Those are what? Those who are taken from the dates of the opening of the Twin Tower, 28, 14, the 9/11, 2001, we get 14, and from 2015, sorry, at the opening of the One World Trade Center, we got what? 23. So this is from 1973 onward. Now, if we go back to see from where all those plotting started, we can see it started back in 1948. That's the founding of Israel. And then let's ask the question, who owns the Twin Towers and One World Trade Center? I'll let the people answer it. Who didn't show up in 9/11 to work? 4,000 people didn't show up to work. Who were they are? Okay, let the people answer this question too. You see how it's all correlated? Yes. And the plots will continue until what? I said until 2038. That's 23 years later after 2015. Now, if you subtract 2038, the final day, minus 1948, what you get? You get what? 90. Let's go up. Where is in the tree of life we have 90? If you remember, as you go up in level to become as a god, you go 19, 40, 66, 90. Yes. So 90 years was the plot. That's the time span for the antichrist to resurrect. Between 1948 till 2038, you have 90 years, and the same applied from the tree of life, where you show how a soul is being resurrected from earth all the way to the level of God at 90. That's their plot. To even further confirm this, we did some calculation. If we take the dates from the opening of the Twin Towers and the dates from the demolition in 2001 and the opening of the One World Trade Center in 2015, get them all together, those are the dates, 4/4/1973, 2001, 2015, 2038. What you are getting here? In my previous video, in the decoding of the Ark of the Covenant, I said that this symbol represents the resurrection of Osiris as God in that disk. And that disk was equate to what? Equate to 88. So if the plot from 1973, it started at the opening of the Twin Tower. Let's do some summation. If you sum the days as digits, 1, 4, 2, 8, 1, 4, 2894. It equates to what? 28. Now let's sum the month digits. 5511 plus 4. You get what? 16. Now let's sum the the first two digits from the years. 2 plus 1 plus 9, 16. Okay, that's interesting. We have the same number as the one before it. Okay. Now let's continue. The other two digits from the year. 3 plus 8 plus 1 plus 5 plus 1 plus 7 plus 3, 28. What a sequence! Is that a coincidence that the Twin Tower was opened in 1973 in this date, and the demolition 2001, and then the opening of the final One World Trade Center 2015, and then the final anticipated date 2038 at the day and the month of the founding of Israel. These ones, by the way, it equates to 28, 16, 16, 28. That can mirror. That's not a coincidence. Now, when you sum 28 plus 16, you get 44. 16 plus 28, you get 44. 44 plus 44, you get what? 88. That is the ark. That's when, according to the Pharaoh, the Osiris resurrected as God. That's from 1973 till 2038, when they will announce that the antichrist will come. 88. Now, if you want another proof, I will give it to you. Remember, in my previous video we spoke about how this depicts the resurrection of the Pharaoh from the ground, the box 78 up in the heaven, using the solar burak that is taking him to be resurrected as God, 42. I don't want to stop too much on it. It's explained in my previous video. Well, and we said that these are the boxes that represent the resurrection of this soul from the Malakut earth all the way up to become with God, 175. Now, if we take the timeline from 1948 all the way to 2038, if you sum all those digits, it will give you 133. And through this timeline, who is supposed to raise? A soul. As what? As God. What we said God is, it's 42. So when you sum all those digits from 1948 to 2038, what you get? 133 plus 42 for this God, for this soul to become God, it gives you what? 175. 175, what we said, it's the total tree of life, and it's the representation of what? Of the resurrection of the God, the Pharaoh, as what? As God. 175. So I give you a proof in two different ways, as I will show you in here, that tells you, one is giving you the resurrection 88 from the dates of the Twin Towers opening until the 2038, using the day and month in 2038 from the opening, from the founding of Israel, you're getting 88. And from the other method, from 1948 to 2038, I'm getting with 42 a God, I'm giving you 175, which resembles the resurrection of the Pharaoh up in the sky as God. Is that a coincidence? Of course not. Now, we will end with a summary. The summary that is from founding of Israel back in 1948 until 2038, there was supposed to be 90 years that equates to the summing of the Sephiroth, going from earth up in the sky to the level of God, which is equate to 90. And then from that day, they started the plotting of the building of the Twin Tower so that it will be demolished in a sacrifice ritual that symbolizing the destruction of the tree of life for that soul to resurrect as God in 2001 and then in 2015 to reach to the other dimension before reaching to the dwelling to become a God in 2038. And here you have it, people. That's what was the plot from founding Israel. Is that what the Jews want to worship? Is that what the Christians want to worship? When the antichrist would come in 2038 according to their plot? The one who asked to sacrifice people in 2001 for his soul to be resurrected? Is that a God to be worshipped? Or is that a God who his people saying, hasten his coming? He needs some push. A push by what? By sacrificing people for his soul to resurrect as God. Is that the God that you're going to be worshipping? I hope by exposing this evil satanic plot that those people in secret societies, and especially the Jews, to wake up to the satanic nature of the people and the leadership. I know that not all Jews are the same, and not all Jews, they have this sick belief that they are just the chosen, the one with souls, and the rest of the people, as quoted from one of the people, he told me, they are just dead walking bodies who can be sacrificed, of course, like you can sacrifice a cow. If their God asks for a sacrifice of a human, why not? Basically, they don't have a soul like us. They're not chosen. Get over with this sick mentality, people. Get over it. The devil is closing on your eyes. And I can tell, I'm directing my talk also to the people in the secret society, because I'm pretty sure that most of them, they went in with a good intention, with a good heart. And I'm almost certain even many of leaders in the Freemasonry and other societies, they don't know what their people on the top of the top they're actually doing, who actually founding those Freemasons lodges. You can be 33, you can be whatever. They are trying, even in these days, they are trying to beautify the image of Lucifer. He was, many historians now, they are trying to call him, not instead of Lucifer, they talk about Enki. Enki is the reference of Lucifer, you know, in the ancient history. They're trying to beautify his image. He is benevolent. He's trying to tell us how we become gods. Now you can see how you can become gods. By sacrificing people and destroying symbolically the tree of life. Rethink what you are teaching people. Rethink what you are doing and what you are taking the people to. And I count more on the Christians who believe in the second coming, not in the first coming, to stop these people in their tracks. They are just few tens of people, like maybe I can count maybe 100 or maybe less satanic people who are going every day with the child sacrifices and all of that. So when they sacrifice 2,000 people, you know, who are grown-up people, they say, oh, this is commodity. In the process of bringing our God, this is nothing. Is that what you want people to live? Is that what you want? Or maybe you should become, I don't know, from certain ethnics so that you don't show up at work in 2001? you'll be saved. No? I hope my message clear, and I hope I have exposed this evil plot. And let's see, they think they are smart. You see, there's a verse in the Quran. It says that Allah is the best of planner. They plan, but Allah is the best of the planner. And there you go, people. From the Quranic knowledge, I was able to expose all of that.